He had worked as a security guard at the same hospital for 20 years. No one had ever asked about his past until his former commander was brought to the emergency room. Welcome to One Human, One Story. Before we begin this story, could there be a veteran security guard in your workplace too? Let us know in the comments. And if you believe stories like this deserve to be told, hit that subscribe button. Chicago General Hospital never slept. Even at 3 a.m., the emergency department buzzed with activity. Ambulance sirens echoed through the corridors, and worried families filled the waiting room. But in the quieter sections of the hospital, one man walked the halls alone. Marcus Washington, 52 years old, had been the night security guard for 20 years. Every evening at 10 p.m. he clocked in, put on his uniform, and began his round. Same route, same schedule, same quiet dedication that no one really noted. The staff knew him as reliable, always there when needed, never caused problems, never asked for overtime. He was the kind of employee administrators loved, steady, predictable, invisible. Marcus wore the standard security uniform, navy blue shirt, black pants, radio clipped to his belt. Nothing flashy, nothing that drew attention. He preferred it that way. The less people noticed him, the better. His rounds took him through 6 floors of the hospital: ICU, emergency department, surgical wings, administrative offices. He checked doors, tested alarms, monitored cameras. Simple routine work that required attention but not conversation. Most of the staff barely acknowledged him. A nod here, a brief good evening there. He was part of the background. Hospital furniture with legs. After 20 years, that was exactly how he liked. Marcus lived alone in a small apartment 10 minutes from the hospital. No wife, no children, no close friend. His life was work, sleep, and the gym where he worked out every morning before going home. A simple existence that asked nothing from anyone. But there were things about Marcus that no one knew. The way he moved through the hospital corridors with tactical precision. How his eyes automatically scanned for exits and potential threats. The fact that he never sat with his back to a door. His apartment was spartanly furnished but obsessively clean. Everything had a place, and everything was in its place. Military corners on his bed, boots lined up perfectly by the door. Habits that die hard. In his bedroom closet behind old civilian clothes was a locked metal box. Inside were things he hadn't looked at in years. Pictures, documents, medals, and memories from a life most people would never understand. That Tuesday night started like any other. Marcus clocked in, nodded to the evening shift supervisor, and began his rounds. The hospital was busy. A multi-car accident had filled the emergency department, but that wasn't unusual for a Tuesday night in Chicago. He was walking past the trauma bay when he heard the paramedics' radio crackling. Incoming GSW to the chest, male approximately 60 years old, ETA 3 minutes. Marcus continued his patrol. Gunshot wounds were unfortunately common in this part of the city. The trauma team was excellent. They saved lives every night that other hospitals would lose. The ambulance arrived with sirens blaring. Marcus watched from the security desk as paramedics rushed a patient through the doors. Standard procedure. He noted the time in his log and continued his rounds. 20 minutes later, he was checking the locks on the pharmacy when his radio buzzed. Security to Trauma Bay 2. Patient is agitated and asking for someone. Marcus sighed. Agitated patients were part of the job. Usually someone scared, confused, maybe high on something. He grabbed his radio and headed back toward emergency. The trauma bay was controlled chaos. Nurses moving quickly, IV bags hanging, doctors barking orders. In the center of it all, an older man lay on the gurney, conscious but clearly in pain. The patient was arguing with a nurse, trying to remove his jacket. "No," he kept saying. "Leave it on. I need to keep it on." Marcus approached the head nurse. "What's the situation? Patient is stable, but he's refusing to let us remove his jacket. Says he needs to talk to someone in security. Keeps asking if there's a Marcus here." Marcus froze. In 20 years of working hospital security, no patient had ever asked for him specifically. No one outside the hospital even knew where he worked. He stepped closer to the bed. The patient was white male, approximately 60 years old. Silver hair, military bearing, even while lying wounded on a trauma bed. Something about him seemed familiar, but Marcus couldn't place it. The man turned his head, and their eyes met. For a moment, neither spoke. Then the patient's eyes widened with recognition. Jesus Christ. Marcus Washington. Marcus felt his blood turn cold. No one had called him by his full name in 20 years. No one at the hospital even knew his last name was Washington. "Colonel," Marcus said quietly. The trauma bay suddenly felt too small, too crowded, too bright. 20 years of careful anonymity shattered in an instant. Colonel James Mitchell, U.S. Army Special Forces, retired. Marcus hadn't seen him since their unit disbanded in 2003, but there he was, bleeding on a Chicago trauma bed, asking for him by name. "How did you know I was here?" Mitchell asked through gritted teeth. "I didn't," Marcus replied. "I work here, have for 20 years. Mitchell tried to sit up, winced in pain. "You disappeared after discharge, completely off the grid. I looked for you. I wanted to stay disappeared." The nurses were staring now. This wasn't normal security guard behavior. Marcus realized he needed to control the situation quickly. "Colonel, you need to let them treat you. We can talk later." Mitchell nodded slowly. His eyes never left Marcus' face. "You still have it, don't you? The thing we never talked about." Marcus knew exactly what he meant. His hand unconsciously moved toward his left shoulder, where beneath the uniform shirt, a small tattoo remained hidden. 3 small letters that meant everything to the dozen men who earned them, and nothing to anyone else. The surgery took 4 hours. Marcus spent most of that time walking the hospital corridors, trying to process what had just happened. After 20 years of invisibility, his past had literally been wheeled through the front door. Mitchell survived. The bullet had missed vital organs, and the trauma team had done excellent work. By morning, he was stable, conscious, and asking to see Marcus. Marcus waited until his shift ended. Then, instead of going home, he went to the recovery room. Mitchell was awake, staring at the ceiling. "You came," Mitchell said without looking over. "Figured I owed you that much." Mitchell turned his head. "You don't owe me anything, Washington. If anything, it's the other way around." They sat in silence for several minutes, 20 years compressed into the space between 2 hospital chairs. "Why Chicago?" Mitchell finally asked. "It's big enough to disappear in," Marcus replied, "and far enough from where we used to be. You ever think about it? The things we did every day?" Mitchell nodded. "Me too. That's why I was looking for you. Some of the others too. We need to talk about what happened over there." Marcus shook his head. "Nothing to talk about, Colonel. We did our jobs. We came home. End of story." "Is it though? Because I see you working nights at a hospital when you should be teaching tactics at Quantico. I see you hiding from the world when you should be leading it." Marcus stood up. "This is my world now, Colonel. It's quiet. It's simple. It's enough." Mitchell struggled to sit up. "No, it's not, Washington. And you know it. You think I don't recognize the look in your eyes. You think I don't know what 20 years of running from yourself does to a man." Marcus paused at the door. "You don't know anything about my life. I know you wake up at 0400 every morning, whether you want to or not. I know you check your 6 every time you enter a room. I know you sleep with your back to the wall, and you never sit facing away from an exit." Marcus turned around. Mitchell was staring at him with the same intensity he remembered from their deployment days. "I know because I do the same things. We all do. The lucky ones anyway, the ones who made it home. What do you want from me, Colonel? I want you to remember that you were the best damn soldier I ever served with. I want you to stop punishing yourself for surviving when others didn't, and I want you to know that what we did over there mattered." Marcus felt something crack inside his chest, something that had been frozen for 20 years. 3 of our guys are dead, Washington. Suicide. 2 more are in prison. 1 hasn't spoken to his family in a decade. We scattered after discharge, and look what happened to us. So what are you saying? Him saying, maybe it's time we stopped running from each other. Maybe it's time we remembered that we were brothers before we were broken. Mitchell reached under his pillow and pulled out a small metal object, a challenge coin, unit insignia on one side, names of their fallen brothers on the other. "You remember this?" Marcus stared at the coin. He hadn't seen one in 20 years, but he remembered every detail. "I have 13 of these, 1 for every man who made it home. I've been trying to find you all to give them out. Why? Because we promised we wouldn't forget, and hiding in a hospital for 20 years isn't remembering, Washington. It's forgetting with extra steps." Marcus took the coin. It felt heavier than he remembered. "There are others who want to see you. Johnson is teaching at West Point. Rodriguez runs security for a tech company in Seattle. Williams opened a bar in Tennessee. None of us forgot about you." Marcus pocketed the coin. "I need to think about this." "You do that. But Washington, don't think too long. We're not getting any younger, and we've already lost too much time." Marcus left the hospital that morning as the sun was rising. For the first time in 20 years, he didn't go straight home. Instead, he drove to Lincoln Park and sat by the lake, watching the sun rise. He pulled out his phone and stared at it for a long time. Then he dialed a number he hadn't called in 2 decades. "Johnson, it's Washington." The voice on the other end was quiet for a moment. Then, "Jesus Christ, Marcus, where the hell have you been?" "Chicago, working security, staying invisible. Mitchell found you, didn't he?" "Yeah, he got shot, ended up in my hospital." Johnson laughed. Only Mitchell would get shot just to track down his old squad leader. They talked for an hour about Johnson's family, his job, his life after the service, about the good times before everything went to hell, about the brothers they lost, and the ones still fighting. When Marcus finally hung up, he felt something he hadn't experienced in 20 years. He felt connected to something larger than his night shifts and empty apartment. That evening, when he showed up for work, Marcus was different. The same uniform, the same route, the same quiet professionalism, but something had changed. He no longer walked the corridors like a ghost. He made eye contact with the staff. He smiled at the nurses' joke. He was present in a way he hadn't been in years. The next week, Mitchell was discharged. Before he left, he stopped by the security desk. "You called Johnson, didn't you?" Marcus nodded. "Good. Rodriguez and Williams want to hear from you too. We're planning a reunion. Nothing fancy. Just the survivors getting together." Marcus looked at the challenge coin sitting on his desk. For the first time in 20 years, it wasn't hidden away. "He'll think about it, Colonel." Mitchell smiled. "You know what, Washington. I think you will." As Mitchell walked toward the exit, he turned back one more time. "By the way, thank you." "For what?" "For reminding me that sometimes the best place to find your brothers is right where you've been hiding all along." Marcus watched him go. Then he picked up his radio and began his rounds. The same route, the same schedule, but everything had changed. Now I ask you, have you ever encountered someone from your past who reminded you of who you used to be? Someone who refused to let you stay hidden when you needed to be found? Share their story in the comments. One human, one story. Because sometimes the most powerful reunions happen in the places we least expect. And sometimes the best way to honor your past is to stop running from it. Subscribe if stories like this matter to you. Because every security guard, janitor, mechanic, or nurse might be carrying a story that could change how you see the world. Until next time, remember, the person walking quietly beside you might be someone who once walked through hell and came back to keep you safe.